Bugle, audio newspaper for a visual world.
Hello, Buglers, and welcome to issue 204 of the Bugle, the world's primary source of hope and facts for the week beginning Monday, the 1st of Gloomuary in the year 1 AL 2012-0. It's all going to be over by Monday, but then, why hasn't anyone thought about what happens to everyone then? There are going to be people wandering around the streets of London 2012 weeping, what do you mean it was only for fun? Are we not verifiably the third greatest nation in the world? What the f***? It was all a giant f***ing swizz! First the Empire and now this? Man, that is annoying. How am I going to last 4 years without being able to remember to care about rowing? So, tough times for this nation in old money. This is the Bugle for the week beginning Monday, 13th of August, 2012. Under 3 weeks to go until our Paralympics starts. Let's clutch at those straws. It'll be okay. I'm Andy Saltzman. Almost but not quite sported out here in London. And in New York City, USA, it's John Oliver.
Hello, Andy. Hello, Buglers. Andy, I fear that the curse of the Bugle has struck again.
No.
Because previous to last week, I had compared myself to 0 Olympic divers in my life. Last week, I compared myself to 1 Olympic diver, the German Stephan Feck, who, according to the internet, is the same height and weight as me. My point being that I technically have the body of an Olympic diver. Just a throwaway comment, Andy. Just a joke, no harm meant or done, and the first and only mention of Stephan Feck in the history of the Bugle so far. If I'm completely honest, I wasn't ever imagining bringing up his name again. However, days later, Andy, literally days later, I witnessed Stephan Feck jump off a 3-metre diving board, spin in the air, lose control of his legs, and land flat on his back in what one outlet described as, and I quote, a devastating backward belly flop, which as far as I'm personally concerned, Andy, is a compliment, because it was spectacular. As a dive, Andy, it was a feast for the senses, because it wasn't just how it looked, it was how it sounded. The crack of a near-naked body smashing into the unforgiving surface of the water is a gift to the ears, especially when you add the ooze of the crowd and the wind being physically smashed out of Stephan Feck's chest. It was a symphony of pain. And what score did he get, Andy? He got 0.0s across the board from the judges. Are you f***ing kidding me, Andy? Were they watching the same dive that I was? Because I saw a man reinventing the sport of diving before my eyes. What are the judges looking for? I know in general they're looking at grace through the air and entry into the water with as little splash as possible. But what if someone gives you the opposite of that? You cannot say that that has no value, Andy.
Well, I mean, I think also we've got to say clearly Stephan Feck is a big Bugle listener. He's heard last week that, you and he have exactly the same bodies. Yeah. So he has now dived like you would have dived.
That's true. I think you probably got an extra 1.5 turns in there, but still, in terms of the entry, you're basically right.
I really think was he wearing a "What Would John Oliver Do" bracelet?
I didn't see. I'll look it up on YouTube again. It's definitely worth a look. I do think it raises the point that the IOC needs to seriously look into changing the judging requirements for diving now, because there should be points available for the funniness of a dive. It's just as subjective as any of the other judging criteria. The Chinese divers, for instance, have been absolutely magnificent this year, but not very funny at all. I would love to hear commentators say, well, Tobias Chantel of Belgium up next. He's going to be attempting a half somersault with a single panicked leg kick, followed by 2.5 screams of, oh shit, before landing face first into the water. This dive potentially has a high degree of funniness. And here he goes. Oh, he's nailed it! Outstanding dive. The judges are in hysterics. I can see one pounding the table in laughter as Tobias is helped semi-conscious out of the water with one of his testicles now visible out the corner of his Speedos. Tremendous stuff from the Belgian.
Also, right, it'd be nice to see a kind of cartoon, someone just charging off the end of a board, hanging in midair, looking downwards, and then just plummeting straight into the water. Let's get diving back to its roots.
Well, I think Stephan Feck has given the world one of the most memorable moments of the 2012 Olympics, Andy, and we should all be grateful. His very name should become a descriptive term in the English language from now on. Doing a Stephan Feck should describe failing at something so spectacularly that you actually do something more incredible than the thing you were originally attempting to do in the first place. Of course, look, his name did not help with a story like this, Andy. One British newspaper ran with the headline, "Oh Feck," with the photo of him hitting the water at a perfectly horizontal 180 degrees. They, in doing so, passed up the opportunity to go with "Holy Feck," or "German diver in huge feck up," or "Fecking hell, that must have hurt like feck." Amazingly, not everyone has had as instinctively joyous a response to this as I did, Andy. The German swimming legend and four-time gold medalist Roland Matthes heavily criticised Feck, called him shameful and unworthy. Well, you, Roland! Let me tell you how many dives I remember from this Olympics. It's one, Roland, and it's Stephan Feck's dive. And let me tell you how many dives I remember from your entire career, Roland. 0. In fact, I didn't even know you were a diver until I read that quote from you about Stephan Feck, who I have heard of, because he's the guy that did the funniest dive in Olympics history.
With all due respect to Greg Louganis.
Yeah. That's right, he pipped him at the... That's a good point, Andy. I just don't think... Greg Louganis was just too... It's because it was concrete. It was just too horrifying. It was an edgy dive.
The springboard.
It was the 3 metre springboard.
Was the springboard, not the
Was it really?
Yeah, I think if it would have been a concrete one. I'm not sure he'd have recovered in time to take part in the final.
The point is, I'm truly proud that we trumpeted Stephan Feck even before he'd done anything worth trumpeting. And I would like to now declare, formally, Stephan Feck the official 3 metre diver of the Bugle. I think, in fact, I would like to offer Stephan Feck. I think the Bugle should try and sponsor him at the next World Diving Championships, Andy, on the sole condition that he do exactly the same dive again.
Also, in the micro bugle on Thursday morning, I predicted that Usain Bolt would win the 200 in 19.33 seconds. And
what did he do?
19.32.
Whoa.
Pretty close.
You're the Colin Jackson of the Bugle, then.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, but more so, arguably. And I've never screwed up in an Olympic final like he did.
No, not once.
Not once. That loser. That multiple world title winning loser.